Hello, and thank you so much for joining me for an intro to mobile video creation. This webinar is a product of the CARES Act, the City of Santa Fe Arts and Culture Department, and has been facilitated by Currents New Media. My name is Bel Sigado, and I'm so excited to have this opportunity to show you guys some of these basics. So to start, I would like for you to go ahead and download 3 apps. And I'm going to share my screen. And just a heads up, the phone screen share might cut out and I will restart it as soon as it goes out. But stick with me, and since this is a recording, you can play over anything you have questions about as many times as you want. This is going to be a free access video on the City Arts and Culture Department website, I think for at least a few months. If not forever. So you can return to it as a resource whenever you want. I'm gonna go ahead and share. Okay, so the 3 apps it'd be great if you downloaded are Emulsio, which is EMULSIO, Video Shop, and Video Crop. Another good thing to have is a social media account, so something like Instagram or Facebook, just so you can play around with posting your video creations and seeing how that looks in terms of the formatting and the time. But that's not a now thing, just a soon. So these apps are available in the Apple App Store, and this webinar is going to be iOS focused, so iPhone and iPad. I am pretty sure that Video Shop and Video Crop are both available in the Android Play Store, but if not those exact apps, there's surely dupes, and it just takes some playing around to find those things. But this webinar is going to be an iOS-friendly tutorial. So I'll give you a few more minutes to download those apps, and in the meantime, I will go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Bel Sigado. I have lived in Santa Fe for a few years now. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I have worked for Currents New Media for the past 2 years as their digital media manager. It has been an amazing experience to work for this organization and see how a small team can make a big thing happen. And some of the ways that a small team can make big things happen is just figuring out how to make really high quality stuff, either for little or no money. And so that's what we will be doing today in this webinar, is using some free apps that you can upgrade, and we'll talk about that later in the webinar, but their base function is a free app to do something with video that you're already taking on your phone. And using these 3 tools, you can make your videos look so much better, and you don't even have to pay for it should you not want to. So these tools are things that I use, if not daily, weekly at Currents, and I'm very excited to share them with you. And I think that is all on me, but I can't promise to not talk about Currents more as we go on. So let's go ahead and just jump into it. But jumping into it, we're not going to start at the camera app. We're going to start back in our settings. So go ahead to your home screen, select settings, and we are going to go the whole way down to camera, and you'll see that right under photos. So I start at the very top with preserve settings. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off, and these might already be turned off on your phone, but I'm going to turn off the preserve setting camera mode. Because if I am taking a time lapse, the next time I pull out my phone to take a quick picture, I don't want it to go back to time lapse. I'd rather it land on the camera setting on the full photo format. So turn that off, and that will go ahead and take you back to the preset photo setting instead of the last thing you used. I turn off filter as well. I don't use filters on my photos. Sometimes it can cheapen the look of the image, or it can just make you sad that you want the original and you have the filtered photo. So I turn that off. And I turn on preserve settings for live photo because I have live photo turned off. It takes up a huge amount of storage to have every photo on your phone be live mode. So I turn that on, and then in the camera app, turn that off. We're gonna go back. I have the grid turned off, scan QR codes on. Those aren't really important what we're doing, but this is, so record video. I'm gonna go ahead, I think the preset for the iPhone is 1080p HD at 60 frames per second. I go ahead and turn mine up to 4K at 30 frames per second. You can also turn it up to 4K at 60 frames per second. That's a higher quality, but I don't take that many videos on my phone, and it takes up a lot of storage as well. So if you're really good about getting the stuff that you have on your phone off as soon as you're taking it, so it doesn't slow down your phone, you can go ahead and put it up to whatever quality you want. But I find that 4K at 30 frames per second works just fine for my needs. I'm gonna go back to slow-mo. I also put that up at the highest quality. I don't really take many slow-mo videos, but for when I do, I want them to look good. So go ahead and turn that up. And then down here at the bottom, you'll see an auto HDR option. So I turn that on because HDR makes a composite of 3 exposures. You can sort of read about it down there at the bottom. And then your image is just more well-rounded. It's not blown out by light typically. And I turn keep normal photo off. So that means that the composite is the image that's going to stay on my phone as the original instead of making a duplicate of every photo I take. So that's my preferences. That's what I would suggest, but you can feel out your phone as you get more comfortable with it and sort of figure that stuff out for yourself. So we're gonna go back over here, and one thing that is not necessary, but is definitely something I recommend, is that if you are going to be making content for Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, and that's something you want to make part of your normal practice, I would put your apps around your camera app, because that makes it really easy, and your photos app, because that makes it really easy to jump back and forth and edit the content you're making without having to dig in folders or around your phone. It's just all in the same place. And I have the App Store here just for ease of my life. So I'm going to stop my screen share for just a moment if you guys want to rearrange your apps. If not, that's totally fine. I'm just going to make sure that we are recording. We are. So I'm going to jump back on. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump in with our camera app. So there we are. I am in the Currents 826 gallery, and we are sort of set up. I can show you behind me without my background. We are getting set up for our Giving Tuesday telethon, which will be December 1st from 6 to 9 p.m. Mountain Time. We'll zoom in, and that is gonna get super weird. Okay, enough of that. So what I'm going to start with, and you're gonna have to look at the little icon of me here for a moment, but you can watch what my camera does on the screen share. So just to start, before we even go over any of the options for what your camera app does, I want to show you how I recommend holding your phone. And that's basically just, we're going to make our hand a stabilizer. So I'm gonna hold my phone like this, like a claw, up and down. Oh, really quick, we're gonna jump backwards for a second. Get out of your camera app. You're gonna swipe up to these settings. If you have, I think, an iPhone 10 or before, you are gonna swipe up like I did. And you're going to turn your orientation lock off. That'll allow you to take landscape photos without having to rotate them in the editor. And if you have a 10, you're gonna be pulling from, or 10 or above, you're gonna be pulling from the upper right-hand corner down to the left. So go ahead and turn that off. And we can either access our camera from the app on our screen, or we can swipe up or down to the left again and select the little camera icon in your dock. Okay, so back to holding. So you can see, because my orientation lock is off, my phone did orient itself. So I am going to hold the camera like a claw, like so, and the phone like this, hold the bottom like this, you can see there. And I am just going to lean the butt of the heel of my hand against the fingers at the bottom, just like that. So my hands are super stable. I can pan up, I can pan down. And it makes it very easy just to go around without too much shaking. And that's just going to replace hardware that's can be quite expensive. And if you get comfortable with this stance, you're gonna see a real difference in the stabilizing of your videos. We can also do it vertical. That is a little bit more difficult. You have to have kind of bigger hands, but I'm just gonna hold the phone like that and then hold the phone like that. I sort of interlock this finger and the back of my thumb, and that's just gonna be the same thing. I am on a swivel chair right now. That makes it a bit easier. And I do recommend, if you can find any swivel chairs around you when you are making a video, it really, really helps in tandem with this holding technique. So let's go ahead and begin with the settings of the camera. So we're just gonna go ahead and start on video. That is the preset. Whenever I open the camera, it's going to land on photo. And how we take a photo is just going to press the white button at the bottom. You'll see the screen flash, and you'll know that you took it. And I know that this is really basic, but I would really encourage you to stick with me, because I'm going to be sharing a lot of really useful tools that you might not know. And we're just going to go over these basics really quick right now at the beginning. So to see the photo you just took, go ahead into the lower left-hand corner of the app where you can see a miniature of the photo you just took. Go ahead and select that and you can see it. So to get back to the photo app, or to get back to the camera app, instead of looking at photos, go ahead and just pull down on the image and we are back in the camera. So upper left-hand corner, you will see a lightning bolt. That is the flash symbol. So to turn that on, we press it and select on or auto. It's pretty light in here, so right now I'm going to select off. The button to its right is the live feature. Like I said, I do not keep that on. The next feature over is the timer, 10 seconds, 3 seconds. I'll go ahead and let that play just so you guys see what a 3-second timer looks like. And then it takes a burst of images and you can select the best one. It auto selects the best one, but I don't really want to keep any, so I am going to delete 10 photos and get back into my photo app. And then the upper right-hand corner is filters. Like I said, I don't really like using filters, so I'm gonna get out of there, but it's totally up to you if you should decide that you want to at some point. So let's go ahead and start to the right. We have square. That is a really good photo feature to just be able to take a really obvious image that has good composition. It makes it a bit easier to line up your subject, and it makes it very easy to post to Instagram because that's the preset. Instagram format is 1:1. Moving on, we're gonna go to Panorama. I rarely use Panorama. If I'm going to take a panorama, I typically take a video, but just to show you how I would take a panorama is that I'm going to hold the phone like I showed you with the video, go ahead and press the white button. And I'm gonna try my best to keep that arrow on the yellow line. It's a little bit difficult. I'm gonna stop it, look at it. There you go. That's how you take a panorama, or you should probably try and do a little bit better job than I did, but like I said, not a feature I use very often. So let's go the whole way over to time-lapse. And time-lapse is a great feature. It works exactly the same as slow-mo does. So what I show you in the time-lapse how-to is going to be the same tools you would apply should you want to take a slow-mo video. So time-lapse is a really, really awesome feature for if you want to show progress, an artistic practice, art installation. Maybe you're cleaning something that is interesting to show off, or maybe you are renovating something, but a time lapse condenses into, I don't know exactly how many frames per second the time lapse is on the iPhone, but it goes really quick and it's really eye-catching content that you can post and show someone the before and after, which is really rich and great content. So to show you how I do a time lapse, I'm gonna go ahead and put my phone on the side. And I like to have it sitting. I would not suggest taking a time lapse holding the phone just because it'll show the movement, and whenever it's going fast, it can look just a little crazy. So what I do is I'll find a heavy object, and right now that is my coffee. And I will set it down on the table. I'm gonna turn the camera so you guys can see this. I'll set it down on the table and then lean my phone against it. Put this back. So you can see my phone is still, and I am just using a coffee cup. You can use anything, a jar. This is a very DIY method, but if you have a tripod, that would be fine to use too, but this works for me. So I am going to press the red button, which starts the time lapse, and you can see that it's going because of that white ticker going around the red button. So I'm just gonna jump out of the frame really quick and show you how a time lapse looks and how quick it really does go. So I'm just gonna move my light around. Okay, and then to stop the time lapse, you can go ahead and press the red button again. And let's watch it. So you can see you need quite a bit of content to make a substantial time-lapse video. And so I recommend if you want to show your artistic practice or you want to show a gallery installation, go ahead and just sit the phone down and forget about it. But do be prepared to have enough storage on your phone to have room for a 15-minute video, even though the time lapse might only be 1 to 2 minutes. They take up a lot of storage as long as you have the space for it and get it off your phone so you don't forget about it and then fill up your storage. And one day you want to take a picture and you can't because there's no space. They're great. I highly recommend utilizing that. And slow-mo is just the same thing. You want to have your phone sitting down. You can go ahead and press the red button. Same concept. So let's land on the video app, which is what this webinar is truly all about. So to do a video, it has mostly the same features as the photo app, wherein I can turn this around. I can turn my flash on, auto, off. I typically have my flash off for videos. It's just not a great quality flash on iPhones, and it's better to prepare your surroundings and your lighting around the phone rather than trying to make it work for you. And you can see up in the upper right-hand corner, 4K 30, which are the settings that I chose in the beginning of the video. So to start a video, just go ahead and press that red button. And a cool feature is while you're taking a video, you can take a photo if you can't wait until the end to take a screenshot. This little button in the lower left-hand corner, it's white on my phone. Press that again. I'm going to stop my video. And here I can see the video that I took. And next to it, I can see the pictures that I took during it. Okay, so let's go ahead and all together put your phone in landscape mode. Go ahead and hold it like the stand-in stabilizer. And go ahead and start the video. So I am going to start over here. I'm going to take a video of the room. And I'm going to go ahead and stop it. I'm going to go to my photos down here in the lower left-hand corner, watch it and make sure it looks pretty good to me. It does, yeah, I like that. And before I start making changes to it, something that I'm going to do just in case I am working on the video and something happens or my phone glitches out, I'm just going to go ahead right now so I can keep a copy of the original. In the lower left-hand corner, I'm going to select the arrow coming out of a box or the export button. I'm going to come down to these settings and I am going to duplicate the video. And that will show up to the right. And now I have two of the same video. One I will use to edit with, and one I will use just as a backup that I can delete once I have my composition done in a way that I like it. I'm going to take another video, and I'd like for you guys to as well. Go ahead and just take that from a different angle. I am going to also do landscape. That's what I would suggest you do. But this time I'm going to pan from down to up. And you guys can go ahead and do whatever you would like, but this is what I want my video to be like. So down to up. I'm going to stop that. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing since I plan on editing this video as well. I'm going to go down to that export button again and duplicate it. So I want those two videos to be one video that I will post on Instagram and sort of show what my surroundings are and how the gallery is looking right now. So to start, I'm going to go back to my first video. And you know what? I realized that this part here, it doesn't look good. So to see that and to look at the detail and to be able to toggle down here at the bottom, I just select my video down at the bottom. I press the reel, and there I can pull through it and see at which time mark I'm not liking. So it seems that the part that I don't want is from 0 to about 3 seconds. So I'm gonna pause that. And right down here, you will see an edit button. So I'm selecting edit. And these options come up. So what I am going to do is pull this arrow from the left. Pull this arrow from the left to the 3 second mark, which is where I decided is where I liked the video. Press play. I'm gonna turn my sound off. Press play to make sure that that looks right. You know what? I didn't really like that hiccup at the end there either. So I'm gonna pull the arrow from the other side to 11 seconds. I'm gonna play that again to see if I like it better now. That looks good to me. So I am saying done. I'm saving the video. I don't need to save it as a new clip because I already have the duplicate that I can always return to. Okay, so that looks pretty good to me. So now I'm gonna go to my next clip and see what I need to edit there. I can already see that I had a drop at the beginning. I'm not gonna really want that because it's going to mess up my stabilization, which I'll show you in a moment. So I'm gonna go to edit, pull that bar back to the beginning. You can put it anywhere. You can start the review from anywhere, but I wanna see it from the beginning. Press play. Okay, so yeah, I see that hiccup. So I'm gonna start it there. All right, and this is why we take a duplicate, because my phone just quit the camera app while I was editing. So I lost my edits. So I'm gonna stop sharing and then start sharing again. And honestly, I couldn't have planned that any better to show why you need to keep a duplicate if you want to keep any progress that you make. Okay. So let's go back in, and I'm going to select the video that I wanted to edit. Again, I'm going to press edit. And like I said, I did not really like that hiccup at the beginning. So I am pulling my bar over to where it starts at a good spot. I'm going to press play to make sure that that is where I liked. It looks good. And I don't really need it to be on that end frame for that long. So I'm going to pull the arrow on the right in a little bit, just a second. Play it, make sure. Awesome. That is what I wanted. Again, don't have to save as a new clip because we already have the duplicate. So save video. And just so you don't confuse which one is your original and which one is your edited, look at the timestamps and you will be able to see that my first video I cut by 5 seconds, so it's 8. And my second one I cut by 2, so that's 5. And those are the 2 that I will select whenever I'm in my editing apps. So that is where I will go now, because my vision for this post is that those 2 videos will be together and look super seamless, and I will post them to Instagram. So first I am going to start with Emulsio, which is a free stabilizing app that I am going to use to make sure these look super smooth, even though they looked pretty good to me. If you take like walking videos or anything like that, you're definitely going to want to put it through this app. So I'm selecting my 7-second first clip. And you'll see here how Emulsio works. Go ahead and at the top, that button that looks like it has a diagonal slash through it, select that and you will see the original on the lower left and the stabilized on the upper right. What Emulsio does, though, that you do have to take into account is that through stabilizing it, it does zoom in quite a bit, especially if I turn the stabilization strength up. You can see here how much further in it is. So if you know you're going to take your video and put it through Emulsio, take an extra 2 or 3 steps back when making your video in your camera app, because that will go ahead and account for everything that you want in the frame. I don't need that up to 100. I typically, if I'm going to stabilize my videos, I will have it around 34 to 38. It just doesn't make it super obvious that I used an app, but makes it look a lot nicer. So I'm going to check again just to make sure that that looks right. Looks great to me. So in the lower right-hand corner, that same export button, the arrow coming out of a box, go ahead and select that. I use MP4 instead of MOV. If you're going to edit it on your computer, it might be easier if you have MOV, but MP4 works just fine for me. Video quality, I select high. I don't want to compromise the quality of my original video at all. And I took the audio off of my video, but if you have audio, you're going to want to go ahead and select audio to good or high. It just won't compromise your production value. And the only reason why I don't have audio in these is because I don't want it to be annoying echoing on the webinar. But typically audio and video is, I mean, they're friends, they go hand in hand, and they make really rich content that'll help get you people interacting with your content. So I don't know if you saw what I just did, but after selecting those, I went ahead and pressed export. And you have to stay in the app while it's exporting. And right here, I am going to save video. Again, we don't have to save it as a new video because we have that original. And I am going to allow Emulsio to modify this video. Go ahead and modify. And while it's doing that, you can see down here at the bottom that it's giving you the option to upgrade the app so you can get rid of the watermark. I'm going to show you a little trick around that at the very end. And that is totally up to you. It's not a super expensive app. None of these are, but I prefer to use them for free because monthly subscriptions do add up, and there are tricks around watermarks and such. So that exported, and I want to start over because I want to stabilize my second video. So, oh, that was the wrong one. And see, that's what I'm saying about looking for the timestamp. Okay, so there we go. Again, I'm going to put my stabilization strength up in the mid-30s. This one actually needs a little bit more, so I turned it up quite a bit more. I'm going to turn it back down to the 50s. That looks good to me. So I'm going to pause. Again, export, same settings. And again, this is why. There we are. In mid-50s, export. And going down to the bottom and saving video, modify. Okay, so now that I have both of my videos stabilized through the Emulsio app, I want to put them together. And that is something you can do on your phone if you download the iPhoto app to your phone, which is free and has a ton of features. It takes up a huge amount of storage. And if you don't download it pretty much whenever you first get your phone, planning for that type of thing to be on your phone is like sort of I wish I would have type deal. So I just choose to use these apps that are low storage and just super easy to use. So I'm going to go into Video Shop. And I am going to start a new project by going into the upper right-hand corner and pressing plus. You see where I did that? And you can either record in the app or import like we are going to do. I choose to import most often just because I feel really comfortable with the camera app. And sometimes being able to take videos in app can compromise the quality, and I just don't like to take any chances with that type of thing. So of the two clips that I made and then stabilized, I want the one that I took first to go first and the one that I took second to go second. Now, any order is fine, but what you need to know is that selecting these in an order already lines them up in this to stitch them together. You can switch it around, but it's just easier to know which one you want first, second, third, fourth, whatever. So there we go, done. So you do have to keep the app open while it's importing the video. And in this app, you also have to keep it open while it is exporting. So here you can see that in the lower left-hand corner, it says stabilized using Emulsio. So that is the watermark that I'm getting because I do not have the paid version. Now that one's really small. I don't really mind it. Video Shop does leave a bigger watermark, but just at the beginning. And I will show you how to get around that at the end. So as you can see, my clips are lined up here at the bottom. If I decide I actually want this first clip second, I'll just move it around and drop it there. But like I said, I want it first. And you can trim in this app. I just think it's a little easier to do it in your camera app and to bring the already trimmed video into Video Shop, but it's the same thing. You can also use tools in Video Shop like split, put it there. Or cut, but I'm not going to do that. Those are a little bit more in depth than what we're doing today. So I'm going to play through this just to see if it looks all good to me. And you can see here, it just automatically stitches them together. Okay, you know what? I actually am going to trim this because that was not such a smooth transition there at the end. So I'm just pulling that back a little bit. It's stopping there, pressing the green plus button, playing through it again to make sure I like it. All right, it looks good enough for me. So in the upper right-hand corner, that's where I just clicked, is the box with an arrow going down. So that is the download button. So I am pressing that. And instead of sharing it right here, I am going to save it to my camera roll. And here you'll see the watermark is on because I don't have the Pro. I'm not paying for it right now, so it will be on. Save to camera roll. Leaving the app open as it's saving. Okay, there's an ad, so I'm gonna get out of the app because I don't need to use it anymore. And I'm going to open up my recents, and there is my new video. Now, as you can see, that video shop watermark stayed at the beginning in the upper right-hand corner, and then it disappeared. So it stays up for about 5 seconds. If you really don't want that, go ahead and add 5 seconds of fluff to the beginning of your video, and you can go back into your camera app, edit your video, and I can just go ahead and clip it to where the watermark disappears. So just for the sake of an example, I'm gonna go ahead and cut that watermark out just because it's kind of big, it doesn't look super professional. So I'm just gonna cut it out. But again, you can just have 5 seconds of nothing, holding your camera in one place and then starting the video, and you can cut that out, and then you're really not missing anything. So I am gonna go ahead and save my video. I don't need it as a new clip. And then the final step, because we still have that watermark in the lower left-hand corner that I'm not super crazy about. So I'm gonna come into video crop, and that is the simplest of the apps that we're using. And you don't have to worry about a watermark in this one. This is just pretty straightforward. I'm gonna press the crop button. I can see my video here that I just stitched together. And I am going to press the arrow in the upper corner. So this app is really great because it has some presets down here at the bottom for 7/5, 5/4, 3/2, 4/3. That's a really common one. And I think that looks good to me, but I'm gonna play through to see if it gets everything in the frame that I want. No, it doesn't. So I still really want to get that watermark out, and the pan is a little bit wide. So what I'm going to do is just go to original, and this puts you in freeform mode. And I'm just going to pull these bottom, or not original, free. It's the next one over, sorry. So I'm just gonna pull those corner dots right above the watermark in there. And I'm gonna pull it in a little bit just to even it out. So I'm at 1638 by 1030, and that'll work for everywhere that I wanna post this to. So in the upper right-hand corner, again, the download button, an arrow going into a box. I'm gonna click that and leave the app open. Success. I'm gonna exit out of this ad. That's the one downside with free apps, but I don't really mind it to get to use these tools for free. And I am going to save. Now, once that is saved to my album, I am all done stitching my video together. So I'm going to go to my social media account. I'm gonna go to the upper right-hand corner to that plus, post, and here is my video. Now you can see that it's in the Instagram preset of 1x1, but in the lower left-hand corner, I can go ahead and stretch it out with those arrows that are going opposite directions. And there we go. We can go down to the bottom. We could trim it if we wanted to, but we already did all of that. And we can select a cover. So you want to pick something typically that's pretty compelling that would get you to watch a video. So I'm going to choose just the opening thing. It kind of looks like an under construction, or no, maybe I will go right there to show the wall of the gallery. And then I go to next, I make a caption, and I post. But I'm not going to do that right now because it's not really something that I want to post. So I am going to get out of my screen share. And I will open up this Q&A in just a minute. But I just want to say, if you would like to do sort of an experiment or do an assignment, it's totally optional. But I will have a day for 15-minute one-on-one slots, and I will double check that date and pass it along to everyone who is registered for this class. But if you would like to make a video, stitch together, edit it a little bit, and either post it to your social media and send me a link, or post it to social media and RSVP for a one-on-one slot, and we can go over it together. That would be super great. It's a really good learning activity. And if you are interested in doing more content creation on your phone, please register for my second webinar on December 10th. And that is setting your scene and intro to going live. So live streaming onto social media platforms. And it's going to be great. It's going to be just the very simple basics, just like this. That'll include a lot of tips and tricks of how to get you started on something like that. So I'm going to jump to the questions. Can we go over HDR again? Sure. So HDR, again, is just that composite that helps your pictures look a little more balanced. So I'm going to try and share my screen to show you where to find that again. Okay, we are getting there. Okay, so we are in our settings again and going down to camera. And at the bottom, I'm just turning auto HDR on and turning keep normal photo off so that I don't have duplicates of everything in my phone. And that again is up to you. So here's a good one, mirror front camera on or off. That is not an option on my phone, but it is a great option because all it's doing is just for you. It's that front camera that's going to let you either see yourself how you see yourself in the mirror or how others see you. Most people feel more comfortable with looking at themselves, how they see themselves in the mirror, but just so you know, that image in your phone does flip over, so it might not look how it looked whenever you took it. Okay, how do you cut something out in the middle? So in the middle of a video, how would I cut something out? So as I showed you, I would either do it in Video Shop with the split function. And we'll go ahead and do that quickly. So now I have two. And I can put something in the middle of those. You can do it in the iPhoto app. And a more difficult way, it's like a sort of like a two-step process, but it's just to, so I have our video here. If I wanted to make that into two parts, I could do what we did earlier and duplicate it. And then edit this to be the point where I would want it to be split, and then go back to the other and split it, and then put it back in Video Shop as something that needs stitched together, or not. But I would prefer to just do it in Video Shop. That split option right here, you pull this bar over to wherever you want it split, even at the bottom. Splitting, it's super easy. Okay, where is the widen button on Instagram? We can go look at that again. So I'm going to discard that. And it is right here, you guys. It's not showing me click it on the screen share, but in the lower left-hand corner, the two arrows look like they're being spread apart. That's what you're gonna go ahead and click. Okay. How do you send a video with oversized restrictions? That can be an issue, but what I typically do is drop things in Google Drive. That all you have to do is wait for them to upload, and then you can access it on your computer. You can give someone a link to share the drive. That's my preference. I also upload all of my photos to Google Photo. I know some folks don't want their whole life to be on Google, but it's the best thing that I found to use. And coming from someone who has lost everything on their phone, always back your phone up. It's really important. Okay, so what are the optimal number of minutes in a Facebook and Instagram video? I stick to the rule of keeping it simple, keeping it sweet, and keeping it rich. So what you want is a video that really can capture attention and doesn't have to hold the attention for a super long amount of time. IGTV, you can upload, I think, up to an hour, and that's more of a YouTube type scenario. But for just things that are going to pass through the newsfeed, just make them eye-catching, make them simple. You can't expect that people are going to stay on your video for 5 minutes. I try and keep our videos to a minute or less if they're just going to be on the newsfeed. And then YouTube, Vimeo, and IGTV, we go much longer for people who are actively seeking out our content. And a good app for GIFs. So there are a ton of great apps to turn your videos into GIFs. My favorite is actually a desktop website that is called mp4togif.com. It has never failed me. It's super simple. And yeah, that's what I would recommend. Just upload your video to the drive and then download it onto your desktop, and go ahead and do that on mp4togif.com, or it might be mp4togifconverter.com, but you'll find it if you search it on Google. So I think that is all I have for you. If anyone would like to reach out for additional resources or for the invitation to the December 10th webinar, you can either reach out to the City Arts and Culture Department or to me personally at Bel, B-E-L, at currentsnewmedia.org. And I'm so appreciative that I had this opportunity to learn with you today, and I'll look forward to speaking with you again on December 10th. Thank you.